Welcome to our third Reading Practices Update. I'm Cherry Lee, and I serve as the Director of Reading in the Division of Early Childhood Education. Today we have a robust agenda. This video will cover new updates, including the process for screening cohort leaders. Then we'll discuss more options for implementation and do a deep dive on the blended model. Finally, we'll share an opportunity for interested applicants to help pilot content. We'll end with next steps. First, let's quickly revisit some of the content we've already released. Please make sure to bookmark the Reading Practices website at tea.texas.gov/reading for the latest information and guidance regarding reading initiatives. If you haven't already, please view the previous two videos for HB3 reading practices before continuing through this video to support your understanding. We also have a few new documents to accompany the videos and facilitate understanding. This image is a snapshot from the Reading Academy Implementation Informational PDF, now available for download on our reading webpage. We will be using the terms shown in the slide throughout this presentation. The House Bill 3 Reading Practices video number 2 and this handout are your most useful resources to clarify these terms. As we've discussed in previous videos, Reading Academies can only be offered by official authorized providers. Reading Academies providers must be formally authorized by TEA. This application closed on January 24th, and authorized providers will be notified and named in February. Cohort leaders are integral to the success of the Reading Academies. Let's take a moment to discuss cohort leaders' responsibilities and duties. One of the key updates we want to share today includes the process for becoming a cohort leader. Cohort leaders are the personnel who lead Reading Academy sessions, provide coaching and support, and evaluate and provide feedback on artifacts. The term cohort leader refers to both blended facilitators and comprehensive coaches. A cohort leader supporting the blended model is referred to as a blended facilitator. A cohort leader supporting the comprehensive model is referred to as a comprehensive coach. The number of teachers that a cohort leader can support depends on whether they are leading comprehensive or blended cohorts and if they are employed full or part-time. As a reminder, each blended cohort can have up to 100 participants, and each comprehensive cohort can have up to 60 participants. One facilitator may not lead both models simultaneously. To become a cohort leader, applicants must demonstrate proficiency on a centralized screening process that we'll cover on the next few slides. Demonstrating proficiency on the screener is necessary but not sufficient to be a cohort leader. Cohort leaders will work directly for either authorized providers or districts who implement locally, which means that they've signed an MOU with an authorized provider. While the screener is the same whether a candidate is interested in leading the blended or the comprehensive model, authorized providers will have discretion to customize their interview process for both types of leaders. Cohort leaders are employed and paid directly by their employer. Hiring managers at ESCs and districts who are hiring staff to fill cohort leader positions are encouraged to follow their typical HR procedures. ESCs and districts may also shift responsibilities for current staff to serve as cohort leaders. This screening process will be led by TEA and Westat, the federal comprehensive center that supports Texas. Westat will convene a panel of 12 experts who will serve as the centralized review board and evaluate all screeners for cohort leaders. If you or someone you know is interested in being on this expert panel, applications are now open. You can access the link on the tea.texas.gov/reading webpage. Experts on this panel are not eligible to be cohort leaders themselves. Applicants interested in being cohort leaders will complete a 3-step screening process. First, all interested applicants must complete a multiple choice pre-screener. Applicants will receive their scores immediately and then pass to move on to the next step in the process. After completing the multiple choice pre-screener, applicants will be asked to complete several artifacts. These artifacts will also be required of Reading Academy participants. Applicants must be willing to videotape themselves and agree that their artifacts can be reused and publicly shared. Finally, applicants will be given sample artifacts in response to the prompts, along with rubrics and grading guidance. They will be asked to effectively evaluate the artifacts and provide meaningful feedback, precisely as they will be asked to do during the Academies. At this time, there is no associated cost with taking the Cohort Leader Screener. There will be 3 opportunities for interested applicants. The Cohort Leader Screening will occur over 3 windows, opening March 9th. Should applicants not pass the initial screen, they will have 2 additional opportunities within the spring and early summer to meet the requirements. Participants who do not pass the screening can potentially apply again in 2021. This slide shows the 3 currently scheduled windows for the Cohort Leader Screening. Again, applicants may complete the screener at any point in the window. Applicants and authorized providers will be notified by the same date. Results from the screener will be shared back with the applicants and with authorized providers. Again, applicants can reapply in another window, though applicants can only apply 3 times within a year. Authorized providers will be responsible for ensuring leaders hired for the local implementation model have met necessary requirements. Once a prospective applicant passes the screener and secures employment as a cohort leader, cohort leaders must attend mandatory centralized training in Austin. Authorized providers will support cohort leaders with travel logistics and expenses. The following section will address implementation considerations from the district perspective. As we shared in the second reading practices video, LEAs have multiple decisions to make. LEAs should consider the following decision points. 1. What implementation options work best? 2. Which staff members would benefit most from which models of training? And 3. Which teachers and principals will you send in which year and on what participant path? Before we consider implementation examples over the next few slides, the current reading practices survey asked districts to share their initial thinking on these questions. Districts received an individualized link on January 16, 2020. The survey, which is completed electronically, is due January 30th. Information provided is not binding regarding the Reading Academies. For questions, please email reading@tea.texas.gov. This slide shows an example of the information requested in the Reading Practices Survey. TEA is asking survey respondents to provide information for planning purposes. Remember, there are 3 years to train teachers and principals: 2020 to 2021, 2021 to 2022, and 2022 to 2023. There are many possible approaches to completing this requirement. Of note, districts are not required to send staff to the Reading Academies in the 2020-2021 school year. As a reminder, this is also a great time to take a look at the reading landscape of your district. A deep understanding of the effectiveness of your current phonics curriculum, your placement of highly effective teachers, as well as how your reading instruments are integrated and aligned with the TEKS will be helpful in planning for reading success. LEAs can ensure Reading Academy success by selecting a point person to support an effective rollout, determining an implementation schedule that makes sense with existing PD calendars, building in adequate pre-service and in-service days within the PD schedule, and structuring PD days such that the content is scaffolded during the year. LEAs can also consider incorporating Reading Academy's materials and content within PLCs to deepen learning, and requiring instructional coaches, reading specialists, evaluation personnel, and district leaders to complete training so that a shared vocabulary and understanding of reading practices is developed across the district and ultimately across the state. Of note, if your district has already finalized your PD calendar for the 2021 school year, your district should plan to begin offering Reading Academies in the following school year. The first decision point is, how do you want to implement? serve as an authorized provider, implement locally, utilize an authorized provider, or a combination. As a reminder, the authorized provider application is now closed and the full list of approved authorized providers will be available in February. This image on this slide is a snapshot from the Reading Academy Implementation Informational PDF available for download on the Reading webpage. It shows what those options mean in terms of both cost and responsibility. The second decision point requires districts to consider which staff will attend which model, blended or comprehensive. The slide presents implementation examples for LEAs to consider when determining how to structure the rollout of the House Bill 3 Reading Academies so that all teachers and administrators complete the training by 2023. LEAs can determine what model or models to utilize based on staff needs. Remember, there are 3 years to train teachers and principals, and there are many possible approaches to completing this requirement. This slide presents information on considerations for participant paths. Once registered, participants can choose from 3 paths within the Reading Academies. Now let's walk through an example of a possible survey response. Let's imagine you are a district with 8 elementary campuses and approximately 400 staff members to send to the Reading Academies. 2 of the 8 campuses within your district have received a D through F rating in the previous school year. To support immediate implementation of effective reading practices on these campuses, district leadership has determined to send staff from all D through F campuses through the comprehensive model in the 2020 to 2021 school year, shown in the right box noted comprehensive model. In the 2021 to 2022 school year, district leadership will plan to send staff from A through C campuses through the blended model noted on the left box. District will plan to send new staff to the blended model in year 3 and beyond. This slide presents implementation examples for LEAs to consider when determining how to structure the rollout of the House Bill 3 Reading Academies so that all teachers and administrators complete the training by 2023. This slide provides examples of structuring attendance at the Reading Academies, as well as estimation of the time to complete all required course content and submit artifacts. Participants will have 11 months to complete the House Bill 3 Reading Academies content. Districts should develop and set their professional development calendars to allow staff ample opportunities to complete required content. Should staff members need additional time to complete the academies, districts could re-enroll participants in another cohort. The Reading Academies are structured so that districts can select to send participants through a blended or comprehensive model, as mentioned before. Within blended learning, face-to-face and online instruction provide participants opportunities to build knowledge and skills. Blended learning offers participants the ability to engage in communities of both virtual and in-person learning communities within and across districts. Blended learning offers districts and participants more flexibility than traditional face-to-face models of professional development. The Reading Academies will live on a learning management system platform that will provide differentiated learning and adjustments to support participants. Online instruction offers many benefits to districts and participants. Blended learning can also include face-to-face personalized instruction. Districts can support participants' successful completion of the blended Reading Academy model by structuring professional learning communities where staff completes content together, building in ample time for participants to complete the content and demonstration of knowledge, working with instructional coaches and curriculum specialists to connect learning during faculty meetings and required district PD, and supporting teachers with additional training and coaching as needed. TEA will provide facilitators guides that will support both authorized providers and district leaders' successful implementation of the blended model. When face-to-face and online instruction is well coordinated, participants benefit from blended learning. TEA will provide session guides for PLCs and additional implementation materials to support authorized providers, cohort leaders, and school districts. Next, we'd like to announce an opportunity for interested individuals to participate in a pilot. The content for Reading Academies is linked closely to both the science of teaching reading competencies and the TEKS' essential knowledge and skills. Notice there are 13 STR competencies that represent what teachers should know and be able to do to provide high-quality, scientifically based reading instruction. The TEKS strands contain expectations for what students should know and be able to do. The proposed scope and sequence is a draft for feedback. Here, you'll also see how adjustments in the biliteracy path include Spanish literacy and English language development. We are looking for pilot participants to engage and give more detailed feedback on potential content. Interested applicants should apply directly. While there is no compensation for participation in the pilot, participants will receive access to the Draft Reading Academy's content at no cost, including digital and interactive tools, the opportunity to review, edit, and evaluate the early Reading Academy's prototype materials, and influence the final statewide product offered to all K-3 teachers and principals. And lastly, free coaching and professional learning to support the content provided. Ideal pilot candidates include educators who have a strong knowledge of the science of teaching reading. Candidates must also be willing to take on the time commitment for the 8-week pilot. We anticipate that time commitment will be around 30 hours total. We will close by sharing some forthcoming information. In February, TEA will name authorized providers, share updates to scope and sequence, and finalize pilot participants. In March, districts will be able to pre-register for academies in the 2020-2021 school year, and the cohort leader screening will begin. And in April, TEA will share additional content updates and have completed the first round of cohort leader screening. Again, all information will be posted on the Reading Practices webpage. For additional questions, please send an email to reading@tea.texas.gov. Again, thank you for all of your support for Texas Public Education.